1. A few years back, I used to work in a hotel which used to be part of the Best Certain Compass Direction chain, but was bought out and is now a privately owned hotel, which I no longer work at due to awful management. Seriously, in the past 2 years they've gone through 9 different general managers. Well, when this story took place, I worked in the restaurant inside the hotel. I was the expo person and backup cook. I was the second in command of the kitchen, so when the head chef was gone, it was my kitchen. I ended up walking out on that job. But that's a story for another time. It involves saying no to attending my grandpa's funeral. Well, anyway, we had a promotion going at the hotel where if you paid an extra $20 per night onto your stay, you got breakfast included on your stay. Which was a really good deal because it was 2 entrees and 2 drinks. Which for this place was a good deal because an average breakfast for 2 was around $50. Well, I got to work and it was starting out pretty good. We were mildly calm, steady business, but it wasn't overloading busy, which I still find surprising, since it was still in our busy period. Well, the pleasant silence was broken from a woman screaming in the lobby. A wild Karen appears. The Karen was screaming to my poor coworker at the front desk. I don't remember which one it was since they were all women and I don't work there anymore, and only talk to one of them still. We'll just call her M, because I think it was M. The Karen was screaming at poor little M, demanding the general manager at the time. Lord knows who the heck that was, because when I worked there, we had went through 7 general managers in 2 years, so I bet that shows how well that hotel is. So we called the GM. The GM at this time, I do remember, was a woman who was friends with the owner. She pretty much milked whatever she could out of the owner and did nothing. So needless to say, this GM was a pretty lazy woman. She was living in one of the hotel rooms because she moved to the area for that job. And so she would wake up and go to work at 10:30 a.m. But said if anything ever happened and you called her room, she'd be right down. Well, being the lazy person she was, this didn't happen. M was being a banshee, screeching loud enough that Sylvana's Windrunner blush would blush in envy. For about 10 minutes at this point, wanting a room comped for the week-long stay she had. And M finally got her to stop talking just enough to find out what was wrong. The ultimate problem with the hotel stay? The water in the shower was too hot and the pressure was too hard, so it was giving her migraines and how we ruined her entire vacation. Well, after another 15 minutes of her arguing with M and the GM, when she finally got down there, she was told, "No, you're paying in full." So she huffed out of the lobby and beelined to the restaurant to demand free breakfast as compensation for the migraines. We happily complied because she already prepaid for her meals. She huffed that she better get the meals for free as compensation, and repeatedly treated my head waitress Mal like trash. Kept giving her sass, kept glaring at everyone. So the way we ran the meals was, we ran as a charge to your room, and then the charge was cancelled with a code in the system linked to your room saying breakfast included. So when she got her receipt, she had a hissy fit about not paying. And when she was informed she prepaid when she booked her room, she ran off to go scream at M again. She was asked nicely to leave or the cops would be called, and that she had to pay in full. She screamed about putting 1-star reviews on Yelp and Google and Facebook, and how we'll be sorry. She left, and we were cackling off into the sunset as she reed into the night. Mini reward story for listening to this. This was my first and only encounter with a Karen working in the hospitality industry for 8 years. I'm honestly surprised. Did have an entitled man before when I was in high school, at 16, working in KFC, but I don't remember much of what happened. He did yell at me in front of my manager and grandma, though. All I did was stand there as my grandma and manager tag team yelled at him and belittled him until he ran out of the store. He got banned, and yelled at by a very angry grandma. 2. It's 3 a.m. Dude gets dropped here by the local casino security vehicle. He comes in asking for a room, but being a weekend, you probably already guessed it, sold out. We keep an accessible room available for the off chance that someone in a wheelchair books the wrong room type. But given how drunk this guy is, my coworker and I decide via eye contact that we don't want to take the chance that he would pick a fight with one of our guests, or trash the room, or whatever it is drunk people do to get themselves kicked out of casinos. The grown man complains that the casino lost his $500 jacket and his keys, and proceeds to be creepy toward a guest who's chilling in our lounge before we pull him away from her. We ask him to use the phone in his hand to find a room elsewhere and call a cab to take him there, to which he says, "No, I'm not going to do that." Suddenly, his lost jacket appreciates in value to $25,000 as he repeats his plight for the 5th time. Meanwhile, I'm calling the casino security to find out exactly what happened and why they dumped him on us. It turns out that this man was asking security to help him find his jacket that may as well have wheels and an engine, but disappeared before they could get any other information from him. Security found him at one of the bars throwing punches at other casino guests. Against policy, they actually offered him a room while they searched for his missing coat, but he refused to give his name for registration. The head security officer had taken his car keys to ensure he wouldn't drive drunk, and the man insisted that he had rented a room at our hotel, so the officer drove him here. We do our best to help him figure out transportation and accommodations, but it's like talking to a brick wall. 35 minutes later, dude's still repeating information we had already ascertained about his missing items. We keep trying to explain why the casino took his keys, and they were going out of their way to help him regardless of the fact that he had been banned from the property. Over and over and over. He then stands there staring at us, as if we're going to build him a room, so I mention that if he doesn't make a move, we'll have to get the police involved to help him figure it out. He responded again, "No, I'm not going to do that." Ugh. He finally gets his Uber app open, but the payment fails just as another man enters, super tired and looking for a room. I tell him about the room I had just found 20 minutes away in the opposite direction of his destination, where we were hoping the drunk dude would order a cab to. As I'm talking, I slip our traveler a note I'd scribbled that reads, "We have to get this guy out of here, and when we do, I have a room for you." The aforementioned handicap room. Obvious I can't just check him in with the problem child standing right there. The weary traveler looks at me as if I just handed him a golden ticket to the Wonka factory, and turns to the drunk guy asking, "You need a ride? Come on, where are you going?" And away they go. Our traveling friend brought the drunk guy back to the casino. I was confused at first as to what his plan was when I saw the light bulb illuminate over his head, but it became clear when the casino security officer I had spoken to earlier called me to ask if the drunk man-child, in not so many words, was still here. The officer was asking because he had just gotten around to searching camera footage for this ungodly valuable jacket, and paused mid-sentence. I heard some radio chatter before he continued. "Oh, I guess he made his way back here." He apologized profusely for the inconvenience to us, and I heard the drunk guy apologizing to security, before we wished each other a better day and hung up our phones. This is the reason my best friend and coworker dislikes alcohol and people in general. Why do we put ourselves through these situations by working in this industry? It's hilarious looking back, especially the way it worked out. But in the thick of it, all my coworker and I could do was look at each other like WTF, and keep going around in circles with this guy. 3. Greetings from Hotel Hell. I'm going to be talking about the pet policy our wonderful management team put in place. To start, I just want to say I'm not against pets in hotels. When I worked in my last property, I loved seeing the doggos come in with their owners. I even brought in a box of treats to give to my new furry friends, if their human allowed it. When I first started at this property, I was a little sad it wasn't pet-friendly. I long for those days. It began on a quiet Friday night. I wasn't working, but my lovely coworker was. It wasn't too busy. This was back at the beginning of January, and she was having a good night. Then the calls started. 1, then 2, then 3, all asking about our pet policy. My coworker told them we weren't pet-friendly. This, of course, made most of them yell at her, because why be pleasant when you can be horrible? And one of them finally said that we were listed on the website as pet-friendly. I get in the next day, and it's the same thing. This continues all throughout the weekend. Some people actually showing up with their pets and us turning them away. Finally, Monday arrives, and that's when it really hits the fan. Our manager comes in and finds out through an email sent in the late evening on Friday that we are pet-friendly. All hotels in our management company's portfolio are. They gave us no policy, no guidance, and again, decided to implement this at about 7 p.m. on a Friday. Finally, he manages to track down the fees we're supposed to be charging, and it's, well, $150 non-refundable deposit plus $20 a night. Extremely high compared to other pet-friendly hotels in the area. My AGM put together a pet policy for guests to sign, and we're off to the races. People are pissed. Half the front desk staff forgets to ask about pets at check-in, and if they do, they forget to charge the fees or have them sign the policy. It's made things miserable. I went from getting yelled at once or twice a week to nearly every day. Then there's the people who stayed with us because we weren't pet-friendly, who are pissed that we are now. Some highlights include: a man who got very offended when I asked what tasks his service dog had been trained to perform. He screamed at me that I was violating HIPAA. This is a hotel, not a hospital, and I'm not stupid. The dog only became a service animal after you heard about the fees. A woman who one of the night auditors checked in. He fucked it up so badly that she managed to sneak her dog in and commit fraud against the hotel, but that's another story. A man who was pleasant enough at first. We chatted about Minnesota. He lived not far from where I went to college. When we received the pet policy, that changed. His wife became more of a problem. She accused me of trying to take their money for myself. Then they left their dog in the room, which is not allowed, and she screamed at me that they were going to finish dinner first, and their dogs didn't bark when we got a noise complaint and I had to call her. Most recently, a man who started yelling as soon as I mentioned a pet fee. Apparently he owns a top business in his state, and he has to call out bad business when he sees it. He then called me dry in a review. Sorry, buddy, when you start yelling, you're getting minimum engagement from me. It's just a mess. My managers are frustrated. We're taking down every complaint, even if it's just someone calling and getting information, then saying the pet fee is too high. They're sending everything to corporate to try and get this reversed. 4. I started working the front desk at a hotel in the middle of nowhere a few months ago, and honestly, I thought I saw it all. I thought I was starting to get the hang of this job and could handle, with some degree of certainty, the levels of bullshit that people have to offer. I've been physically threatened by guests, had a few tussles with management, and generally had to deal with some of the most entitled people on God's green earth. Surely I would be ready for anything, right? Today I learned I wasn't when the fire alarm sounded. This wasn't a drill. I had just finished the night audit process in the computer and was getting ready to run the final reports and send them off to management and accounting, to nitpick, when it happened. Immediately, I went to grab the emergency procedures binder, the master key, and the fire panel keys. I went to go to the fire panel to figure out what the fresh hell is going on in my hotel. Suddenly, the phone is going off the hook. So many people keep calling in the middle of the fucking fire alarm. I couldn't solve it in 30 seconds, so I pulled the emergency reports off the clip we have and started trying to get people out of the hotel and across the street, while also dialing 911 and management. Then I noticed a man in my lobby. He was wearing a blue shirt, and that's it. A blue shirt. He then asked me if the fire alarm was for real. Needless to say, I was pissed. Get the fuck out of the hotel! I started doing my best to marshal guests across the street and away from the hotel, while I waited for the fire department to go in. I noticed some guests were hovering around the lobby right outside the hotel, and I told them to get across the street because the alarm was going off. I called 911. I called management. Eventually, the fire department came, did their thing, and turns out that someone pulled the fire alarm. Eventually, everything cools down. New keys to enter rooms get made. Things start to return to the normal, quiet pace of the night shift. I was going to leave the investigating to the management in the morning and write up my report. But someone in the hotel was looking for a friend of theirs and wanted me to check the surveillance cameras. I did so and noticed that Mr. No-Pants was not just letting it all hang out after the alarm had sounded. No, he was airing out his junk in the area around the elevator, around the place where the alarm was pulled around the time it went off. He was also the first one to be downstairs. I'm not cooled down yet, I'm still amped, and this happened about 6 hours ago. Moral of the story, if you're at a hotel and the fire alarm is going off, don't call the front desk. If it's a 100-room hotel and there's one person on staff, chances aren't good that you're going to get through. Well, if it's a 30-room hotel and there's one person on staff, those chances are still slim. We're busy coordinating the evacuation, calling the fire departments, etc. Instead, get out of the hotel, or at least to the lobby, so that you can get out of the hotel. Go to the muster point, follow our directions, and wait for the all clear before going back into the building. Seriously, are there some schools that don't do fire drills? Can you even fail a fire drill? 5. While back, pre-COVID. One day I'm at the front desk, and 2 late 20-something guys walk in looking like they're sponsored by a surf company and just getting in from a demo. Definitely not our typical 30th anniversary type guest. I greet them and they ask if there's anything available. We chat a bit and I show them a room, because I had the time and liked their vibe. During the tour, one of the guys tells me they're on a road trip up the East Coast. No real agenda, just a bucket list trip for 2 best friends, and the other guy lets me know he just lost his dad. Basically, they were working through some stuff while road tripping. We get back to the desk. I get ready for the "so what can you do for us?" question that most walk-ins try. I gave them the price and they both paused and blinked at me. We are not cheap, but that's pretty obvious when you get on site. But at this point, most walk-ins tend to walk out. Guy 1 looks at guy 2. "So this one you or me?" "I got this one. You got dinner last night." "Yeah, but you got the last." This goes back and forth for a minute, but I always hate these conversations and offer to split it if needed. They both pause and smile at me. Oh shit, I've insulted them. "Can you make us dinner reservations for 8? And can I see the wine list?" "Yes, sir. How's 7:30 p.m.? "Perfect. Do we get breakfast?" "With the room, yes. We include afternoon tea also. Are you AAA members? I can do a small discount if yes." They both look up like I was speaking Greek. "Tea? For real?" Yeah, it started a few minutes ago and goes till..." "Can I get the key?" "I still need a credit card and ID. "Oh yeah, 1 sec. "Oh snap!" As guy 1 proceeds to drop an Amex card back on the desk victoriously. I give them the sad 5% AAA discount anyway, because I'd already put it in the system. I proceed to check them in and they leave. About 30 minutes later, they come up for tea. They're both clearly on something, eyes are saucers, both grinning ear to ear, and moving at the pace of someone who is on an alternate timeline. They say hi and proceed to tell me how lovely the water is right now. It's New England in November. It is not lovely. They sit for tea and giggle like children through the whole thing. "Pinkies up" was the tea motto of the day. They even had other guests going along with them. They go on about the beauty everywhere and that people need to appreciate it more. On the way out, they thank me again for the tea. And I remind them it's included. Who knew this would be the key amenity for these 2? I'm just thankful their substance of choice made them happy and not into assholes. They're clearly getting the most out of the property they can. 7 p.m. rolls around and dinner is humming along. I get a call from their room and they ask if we had a few bottles in inventory. I check with F&B to confirm, and they ask to have them ready for their 7:30. We arrange it, chilled or decanted as needed, with one to be left corked till requested. They come to dinner and proceed to drop the most I've ever seen for a party of 2 in our restaurant. Apparently, those were just their starter bottles, and they did some damage to our liquor list too. On their way out, they stop by for a chat, ask about a checkout, and say I need to talk to the server before I leave, which seemed odd, so I asked if everything went okay at dinner. They both reply with an oddly cold, "Yes, thank you." Okay, what happened? End of the shift, I go talk to their server. She proceeds to fill in details about them, their travels, etc. Apparently she got the full story and an invite to California, along with a 20% tip, wine included. Okay, but why did they say to come see you? "Because they left you this." As she produces a gift bag from the pair, it contained a beautiful thank you note, Brooks Bros tie with boats, and one of the bottles they had pre-ordered, which happens to be the most expensive bottle I will ever enjoy. Chateau Lafite Rothschild. Forgot the specific year, but early 2000s. Yes, I drank it, yes, it was beautiful. And yes, thought about selling it first. They departed before my shift the next day. They ended up taking care of everyone who helped them out and tried to personalize each gratuity they left. Housekeeper who mentioned her new baby got a tip equal to the room price and a pack of diapers. Valet got money and some new designer sunglasses. One of them was actually sponsored, because he forgot his. The wine is gone, the die is torn, but I will remember those two forever and hope they are both spreading joy and appreciating the beauty around them. Still have the thank you note. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Coahw, episode 84. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. If you enjoyed the video, then please do share the video around. Likes and comments are also appreciated. And if you're one of those people who's been watching my videos for a while, they keep popping up in your recommendations, you're probably missing some if you don't hit the subscribe button. No pressure. It's there if you need it. Right down there. Alright, let's see. I think I have a birthday shout out to do today. He says, as if he hadn't just checked his email and knows for sure that he does. Yes, today's goes to Jenny. And Jenny is a certain age today that is... Oh, Jenny's 50. Okay. I thought it hadn't been mentioned. Well, happy birthday, Jenny. Right, of course, we'll have a little bit of a sing-song before we go. Let's see. Well, it is... Well, good thing about your birthday being on Tuesday is, as you know, Hellfreezer's policy is you get to pamper yourself for the whole week. Yeah, so... Make sure you spoil yourself right through to the following Tuesday. Okay, let's see. Now we'll have a bit of a sing-song. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jenny. Happy birthday to you. Lovely. Okay, and with that, I think we'll wrap things up for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.